Security Chief Kaplax adjusted his ceremonial rank badges and smiled at his reflection in the polished surface of Intergalactic Security Station 7's main control panel. His 4 eyes blinked in perfect synchronized satisfaction. Today marked his 10,000th cycle without a single security breach. The accomplishment would surely earn him another commendation from Central Command. Security Chief Lieutenant Makara's voice crackled through the comm system, her tone carrying that special mix of anxiety and excitement that usually meant something interesting was about to disrupt his perfectly organized shift. We've apprehended 3 unauthorized entities attempting to access the station's recreational gravity chamber. Kaplax straightened his posture, antenna twitching with interest. Species classification: human juveniles, sir. Humans. Kaplax let out a burst of clicking laughter. Those bipedal primates from that backwater solar system? The ones who still think faster than light travel is impressive. Yes, sir. They appear to be what humans designate as children. Oh, this should be simple enough. Kaplax waved 2 of his secondary appendages dismissively. Bring them to detention block A. I'll handle the paperwork personally. Are you certain, sir? The human ambassador has been quite particular about proper protocols regarding their young. Lieutenant Makara, need I remind you that I have successfully processed over 57 different species through our detention facilities, including 3 separate Zorblax hive mind colonies. Kaplax began entering his security credentials into the system. I think I can handle a few primitive primate offspring. The lieutenant's hesitation was audible, even through the static of the comm system. Of course, sir. Though perhaps we should review the special guidelines regarding. That won't be necessary. Kaplax cut her off, already pulling up the standard detention forms on his holoscreen. They're just children from a level 2 civilization. How much trouble could they possibly be? As he made his way toward the detention block, Kaplax mentally composed the first lines of his report. Another showcase of the station's superior security protocols, another demonstration of his impeccable leadership. These human children would serve as a perfect example of how even the most untamed species could be properly processed through his system. The security doors parted before him with a satisfying hiss, revealing Lieutenant Makara standing next to 3 small human figures. They looked up at him with those peculiarly round eyes, faces arranged in what his cultural training identified as innocent expressions. Kaplax had no way of knowing it yet, but this would be the last time he would feel truly in control of his station for quite some time. Names. Kaplax demanded, towering over the 3 small humans seated in the processing area. I'm Tommy Andrews, sir, the tallest one chirped, sitting impossibly still. This is Sophia Parker and Alex Martinez. Kaplax noted how politely they answered, how perfectly they sat in the oversized chairs designed for much larger species. Something felt off about their cooperation, but he dismissed the thought. Age classifications. We're all 8 Earth years old, Sophia answered, swinging her legs that didn't quite reach the floor. That's about 1/3 of a standard galactic cycle, right? Kaplax paused in his data entry. These primitives shouldn't know galactic time conversions. And what were you doing attempting to access the recreational gravity chamber? We got lost looking for the bathroom, Alex said, eyes wide and innocent. Everything looks the same in space stations. Lieutenant Makara shifted uncomfortably beside him. Sir, perhaps we should contact their guardian. Not necessary, Kaplax interrupted. Standard detention protocols will suffice. 12 hours should teach them about proper station behavior. He turned to the children. You will be placed in holding cell 7 billion with basic accommodations. Any attempts to? Oh, wow. Is that a quantum phase maintenance panel? Tommy suddenly asked, pointing at a seemingly ordinary wall section. How do you know about? Kaplax started, then caught himself. Do not attempt to distract from the proceedings. Now, as I was saying. The red light is blinking, Sophia observed casually. That means the secondary containment field is about to reverse polarity, doesn't it? That's classified information. How did you? Kaplax spun around to check the panel. Everything appeared normal. When he turned back, the children were exactly as he'd left them, sitting perfectly still. Too still. Lieutenant, escort them to 7 billion immediately, he ordered. I need to verify some security protocols. The next hour passed quietly. Too quietly. Kaplax reviewed the holding cell footage repeatedly. The human children sat peacefully, occasionally asking polite questions about the facility. The other detained species, two grumbling Nexarians, and a confused blob entity kept glancing nervously at the humans. Sir Lieutenant Makara's voice came through his comm again. We're registering some unusual power fluctuations in Block 7. Pause. Unknown, sir. But she hesitated. The human children are asking if they can have snacks. They say they're bored. Absolutely not. No special treatment. They can wait until. A sharp alarm cut through the station. Red lights began flashing across his control panel. Sir. The artificial gravity in Block 7 is increasing. No, decreasing. No, it's dancing. Kaplax rushed to the detention block. The scene that greeted him defied explanation. The human children were bouncing off the walls, literally, as gravity shifted in patterns that shouldn't be possible. The Nexarians were curled into protective balls, while the blob entity had spread itself thin across the ceiling in panic. High Officer Kaplax Tommy called out as he floated past. We found out how to make the gravity go whoosh. This is impossible. Kaplax frantically checked the security systems. These controls are encrypted with. Oh, the encryption was pretty simple, Sophia commented, doing a graceful flip in midair. It's basically just a modified Fibonacci sequence with a quantum overlay. Alex figured it out in like 5 minutes. Alex, currently teaching the terrified blob entity how to do somersaults, gave a cheerful wave. The maintenance panel had all the access codes written right on the circuit board. You just had to remove the cover to see them. Remove the cover is secured with molecular bonding. Kaplax felt his antenna begin to twitch uncontrollably. Yeah, but if you hum at exactly the right frequency, it just pops right off, Tommy explained, as if discussing the weather. We learned that in science class when we studied resonance frequencies. The Nexarians had given up their protective posture and were now cautiously enjoying the varying gravity fields. One of them actually appeared to be giggling. Sir Lieutenant Makara appeared beside him, her usual professional demeanor slightly frayed. The station's entertainment system has somehow activated in all detention cells. It's playing something called Baby Shark. A horrifyingly catchy tune began echoing through the corridors. The human children's faces lit up with delight. Oh no, Kaplax whispered, watching as his perfectly ordered detention block descended into what could only be described as a zero-gravity dance party. The blob entity had started changing colors in rhythm with the music. Should I contact their parents now? Sir Makara asked, dodging a floating snack packet that definitely hadn't been there before. Where did they get those snacks? Kaplax demanded, watching in horror as Tommy shared some kind of brightly colored sugary substance with the Nexarians. We always carry emergency snacks, Sophia explained, now teaching a group of fascinated maintenance droids how to do the dance moves to Baby Shark. Mom says it's important to be prepared. And where exactly were you hiding? Kaplax stopped himself. He didn't want to know. He really didn't want to know. The alarms changed pitch. Now they were somehow harmonizing with the music. Sir Makara's voice had taken on a note of desperation. The station's primary computer is now addressing me as Princess Sparkleface. Kaplax watched as his perfect security record literally danced before his eyes. The human children had been in custody for exactly 1 hour and 47 minutes. He didn't want to imagine what would happen in the remaining 10 hours and 13 minutes of their detention period. A floating maintenance droid zoomed past, trailing sparkles and singing about baby sharks. The blob entity had formed itself into a disco ball shape and was providing atmospheric lighting. Lieutenant Makara, Kaplax said quietly, his antenna drooping in defeat. Contact their parents. Now the next hour brought developments that would haunt Kaplax's performance reviews for cycles to come. Sir Lieutenant Makara's voice had risen 2 octaves since her last report. The communication system is singing. Indeed, every announcement now came through in what the children called show tunes. The station's typically stern automated warnings had been transformed into peppy musical numbers about safety protocols and proper airlock procedures. Report status, Caplax demanded, only to hear his own voice emerge in a perfect baritone. The security doors are now requiring participants to complete a dance routine to gain access, Makara sang back in an unwilling soprano, and the maintenance droids have formed a conga line. Down in the detention block, the situation had evolved beyond any containment protocols in the manual. The Nexarians, normally a species known for their stoic demeanor, were teaching the human children their traditional war dances. Except now, thanks to Alex's helpful suggestions, they'd added something called jazz hands. "Look," Officer Caplax Tommy called out, demonstrating the new moves. "We combined the Nexarian death stomp with the Macarena." The blob entity, not to be outdone, had figured out how to split itself into smaller portions, creating what it proudly called a synchronized swimming routine in the variable gravity field. Each blob fragment sparkled with bioluminescence in perfect harmony with the now constant musical accompaniment. Sir, a new voice crackled through the singing comm system. Administrator Pax, head of the station. "Would you care to explain why my office is filled with something your report identifies as glitter?" Caplax felt his exoskeleton practically cracking with stress. "Administrator, I can explain." "And why does every security screen show rotating images of something called unicorns?" "The children say it's an improvement to station morale," Lieutenant Makara offered helpfully, then immediately regretted speaking as Caplax's antenna twisted into shapes previously thought anatomically impossible. In the detention block, Sophia had somehow convinced the station's food replicators to produce something called pizza. The fact that the replicators weren't actually designed to make Earth food seemed to have bothered her not at all. "The molecular restructuring was pretty simple once you understand the basic protein chains," she explained between bites, sharing slices with her growing fan club of maintenance droids. "Want some, Officer Caplax? We made enough for everyone." The security chief stared in horror at the scene before him. The Nexarians were now attempting to teach their traditional war cry to the droids, but with what Tommy called a beatbox twist. The blob entity had fashioned itself into a surprisingly accurate disco ball, providing atmospheric lighting for the impromptu dance party. Sir Makara approached cautiously, her uniform now mysteriously covered in rainbow sparkles. "Central Command is demanding a status update, but the communication system will only transmit in something called RAP." As if on cue, the station's main computer began dropping beats. The status report emerged as a surprisingly catchy hip-hop track about security breaches and unauthorized gravity modifications. Also, Makara continued, trying to maintain professionalism while covered in glitter. "The station's external warning beacons are now projecting what appears to be a laser light show, and 3 passing cargo ships have requested to join the party." Caplax slumped against the wall, watching as Alex demonstrated something called the robot to an enthusiastic audience of actual robots. How? How are they doing this?" "Oh, that's easy," Tommy piped up, apparently having developed the ability to appear anywhere at will. "Your computer security is based on logical patterns, right? But kids don't think logically. We just press buttons until fun things happen." The security chief's response was cut short by a new alarm, this one somehow managing to sound both urgent and funky. Sir Makara consulted her datapad, which now displayed all information in various shades of neon. "The station's artificial intelligence has declared its independence and is requesting dance lessons." In the background, the blob entity had begun teaching a group of fascinated security droids how to merge and separate in rhythm, creating complex geometric patterns that technically violated several laws of physics. Additionally, Makara continued, her professional facade bracking slightly. "All the emergency escape pods have been renamed. They're now called Party Pod 1, Party Pod 2, and well, you get the idea." The station's lights pulsed in sync with the now constant music, creating patterns that would have been beautiful if they weren't giving Caplax a splitting headache. He watched in resigned horror as Sophia explained the concept of conga lines to the station's previously stoic security force. "Look on the bright side," Sir Makara offered, unsuccessfully trying to brush glitter from her uniform. "At least they haven't figured out how to." She was interrupted by Alex's excited voice. "Hey, did you know this station has external speakers? Listen." The vast silence of space was suddenly filled with the opening notes of what the children enthusiastically identified as the greatest hits of Earth's classical period, something about taking old town roads and horses. Sir Makara's voice had achieved a new note of panic. Administrator Pax is demanding to speak with you. Also, their office is now apparently hosting a karaoke competition. Caplax barely registered the words. He was too busy watching Tommy teach the station's maintenance crew something called the electric slide while Sophia reprogrammed the gravity generators to provide appropriate bass drops. The Nexarians, fully embracing their new role as backup dancers, had synchronized their bioluminescent patterns with the music. The effect was spectacular, if potentially seizure-inducing. Station security log, supplement 47B. Caplax dictated weekly to his personal recorder. Note for future reference: human children's capacity for chaos generation appears to increase exponentially when provided with access to advanced technology. Additional note: the ability to turn any situation into what they call a party appears to be some form of previously undocumented superpower. The recorder translated his log entry into an upbeat rap, complete with backing tracks. In the midst of the chaos, the human children remained perfectly calm, as if transforming a high-security space station into an intergalactic dance club was a perfectly normal afternoon activity. "Don't worry," Officer Caplax Sophia called out cheerfully, now teaching the blob entity how to form itself into various Earth dance moves. "We're actually being super well-behaved right now. You should see what happens when we get bored." The security chief's antenna drooped in despair. "Lieutenant Makara." "Yes, sir," she replied, now sporting a crown of glowing flowers that definitely hadn't been there a minute ago. "When their parents arrive, please just let them in. Don't even bother with the security protocols." In fact, he watched as a conga line of maintenance droids snaked past, led by an enthusiastic Tommy. "I'm not sure we even have security protocols anymore." The station's AI chose that moment to start a station-wide sing-along of something called the YMCA. Even the emergency backup systems joined in with enthusiasm. The diplomatic vessel Beautiful Chaos slid into docking position with what Caplax could have sworn was a smugly casual air. Its sleek design somehow managed to convey both official authority and parental disappointment. Security Chief Lieutenant Makara announced through the now perpetually musical comm system, her voice auto-tuned to perfect pitch. "The human parents have arrived. They seem amused." The docking bay doors opened to reveal 3 sets of human adults, all wearing official diplomatic uniforms and expressions that Caplax would later describe in his report as alarmingly serene. "Good afternoon," the tallest human said, checking his datapad. "I'm James Andrews, Tommy's father. This is Maria Martinez and Patricia Parker. We understand our children are in detention." Caplax's antenna twitched spasmodically. Behind him, a conga line of maintenance droids wobbled past, still led by the blob entity, now shaped like something called a disco ball. "Your offspring have they've." Caplax struggled to maintain composure as the station's lights continued their psychedelic display. "Redecorated," Maria Martinez suggested, eyeing the glitter-covered walls with professional interest. "The holographic unicorns are new. Alex always did have an artistic streak." "But they've completely compromised station security," Caplax burst out. "They've reprogrammed the AI, altered the gravity controls, corrupted the communication systems." "Oh dear," Patricia Parker said, in the tone of someone commenting on slightly overcooked dinner. Sophia promised she'd wait until high school before hacking any more space stations. The parents made their way to the detention block, occasionally dodging floating snack packets and dancing droids. The Nexarians, still performing their modified war dance, paused mid-jazz hands to stare. "Mom." "Dad," 3 excited voices called out in unison. The children, still perfectly behaved in their cell, beamed innocently. "Having fun, kids?" James asked, examining the control panel now displaying animated emojis. "We've been super good," Tommy declared. "We even taught the station's AI some Earth culture." As if on cue, the AI began playing what it proudly announced as its own remix of classical Earth compositions, seamlessly blending something called Rick Astley with Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. "That's very creative," Honey Maria said diplomatically. But what have we said about reprogramming secured facilities? Always leave an administrator backdoor, Alex suggested hopefully. And document any changes in the source code, the children chorused with practiced ease. Administrator Pax chose this moment to arrive, their ceremonial robes now inexplicably tie-dyed and trailing sparkles. What is the meaning of this catastrophe? Catastrophe. Patricia raised an elegantly manicured eyebrow. I see several significant improvements. The gravity modulation algorithm they've implemented is at least 3 generations ahead of current technology. And the AI's new personality is much more engaging, James added, high-fiving a passing maintenance droid. Though perhaps the dance requirements for door access might need some adjustment. You're not surprised by any of this, Caplax asked weakly, watching as the blob entity demonstrated its new synchronized swimming routine. Well, they are gifted children, Maria explained patiently, and you did leave them unsupervised with access to basic computer systems. Basic? These are military-grade security protocols. Yes, Patricia nodded sagely. That probably kept them occupied for the first 5 minutes or so. The Nexarians, who had been watching the exchange with fascination, approached the parents with what their species considered a formal bow, but now incorporated a break-dancing spin. Your offspring have brought great honor to our people, the senior Nexarian announced. Never before has our sacred war dance included such groove. Administrator Pax sputtered in multilingual outrage. Honor? They've turned my station into a circus. Actually, James consulted his datapad. Station efficiency has increased by 47% since they introduced the musical interface. Turns out happy workers are productive workers. Who knew? And the new gravity patterns have reduced power consumption by 60%, Maria pointed out, though the glitter might need some cleanup. The glitter never really goes away, Patricia sighed with the wisdom of experience. We find that accepting it as a permanent life feature is easier. Caplax watched in bewilderment as the parents calmly discussed the situation as if their children routinely redecorated high-security space stations. The fact that they actually might was too terrifying to contemplate. We do apologize for any inconvenience, James offered, watching as Tommy demonstrated advanced quantum physics principles through the medium of interpretive dance to an attentive audience of security personnel. They're usually much more restrained in diplomatic situations. This is restrained, Administrator Pax asked faintly. Oh yes, Maria nodded. Remember the incident at the Galactic Science Academy? To be fair, Patricia interjected, nobody could prove the black hole was their fault. And they did fix it before anyone noticed. The parents turned to their children, who had managed to look even more angelic than before, if that was possible. Now, kids, James addressed them with gentle firmness. What do we say when we accidentally upgrade an entire space station without permission? Sorry for not submitting the proper paperwork first, they chorused, though Caplax noticed none of them seemed particularly repentant. And Maria prompted. And we'll send detailed documentation of all improvements to the station's engineering team, they added. Including the source code comments and the recipe for gravity-defying pizza. Sophia finished with a slight pout. The station's AI, now calling itself DJ Quantum Beat, chose this moment to start a greatest hits medley of Earth's classical mic drop moments. Well then, Patricia smiled warmly at the shell-shocked security chief. I believe that concludes our business here, unless you'd like the children to reverse their improvements. No, Lieutenant Makara blurted out, then composed herself. I mean, the new systems are surprisingly efficient. And the dance breaks have really helped with staff morale, a security officer added from within the ongoing conga line. Caplax looked at his once orderly station, now transformed into what the children called a non-stop party zone. The Nexarians were teaching their new dance moves to a group of visiting diplomats. The blob entity had started a successful career as a special effects coordinator. Perhaps, he said carefully, his antenna drooping in resignation, we could keep some of the improvements. But next time. We'll submit the proper forms first, Tommy promised solemnly, while behind him, Alex taught the maintenance droids to moonwalk. "Come along, kids," James called out. "We don't want to be late for your quantum mechanics study group." "Can we keep the unicorns?" Lieutenant Makara asked quietly as the families prepared to leave. Caplax watched as the human children said goodbye to their new friends, promising to send more dance tutorials to the Nexarians and choreography suggestions to the blob entity. "The unicorns can stay," he sighed, realizing his perfect security record would now forever have a glitter-covered asterisk attached to it. As the families boarded their ship, Caplax could have sworn he heard Administrator Pax humming something about milkshakes bringing all the droids to the yard. Official incident report. Intergalactic Security Station 7. Filed by Security Chief Caplax. Status classified and slightly glittery. 3 standard cycles have passed since the human children incident, and the changes to our station have become, regrettably, permanent. Despite our best cleaning efforts, random patches of glitter still appear in unexpected places. The engineering team claims this defies known physics. I am inclined to agree. The damage assessment revealed several surprising findings. 1. Station efficiency increased by 73%. 2. Staff satisfaction reached record highs. 3. The AI, still calling itself DJ Quantum Beat, refuses to answer to anything else. 4. The blob entity has received 3 job offers from entertainment venues. 5. The Nexarians have submitted a formal request to establish a cultural exchange program with Earth's dance academies. New protocols have been established regarding the detention of human children, summarized as follows. Do not, under any circumstances, attempt to detain human children. If human children must be temporarily contained, contact their parents immediately. Keep them away from any technology more advanced than a pencil, gravity controls, and computer systems. Actually, just keep them away from everything. Personal notes. I have learned several valuable lessons from this experience. First, never underestimate a species based on their apparent technological level. Second, the concept of human children being restricted by standard security measures is, in retrospect, laughably optimistic. The maintenance droids continue their daily conga line breaks, which has somehow improved their efficiency by 89%. Lieutenant Makara insists on keeping the unicorn displays, claiming they provide, quote, positive energy to the workspace. Administrator Pax has officially banned the word glitter from all station communications, though their office still occasionally sparkles under certain lighting conditions. Addendum. We received a thank you note from the children yesterday. They included detailed documentation of all their improvements to our systems, complete with crayon illustrations and stickers. The engineering team is still trying to understand how they managed to create a perpetual motion device using only the station's coffee maker and what they called friendship. The Nexarian War Dance Academy now includes jazz hands in all their official ceremonies. They credit this innovation with a 200% increase in recruitment. Final thoughts. In 10,000 cycles of security work, I never imagined I would be outwitted by 3 8-year-old humans. Their parents suggested this was a valuable learning experience. I am still trying to determine exactly what I learned, beyond a newfound respect for human educational systems and a persistent twitch in my antenna whenever I hear music. The station's new motto, as chosen by our newly autonomous AI, keep calm and dance on. Recommendations for future contact with human children. 1. Don't. 2. Seriously, don't. 3. If you must, bring snacks and prepare to dance. End report. E.P.S. The gravity-defying pizza recipe has become the station's most requested menu item. The replicators still sing while preparing it. Security Chief Caplax. Intergalactic Security Station 7. Now with 100% more sparkle. Approved by DJ Quantum Beat, Station AI and self-proclaimed party director. Witnessed by the blob entity, currently on tour with its synchronized swimming show. The children's documentation has been filed under things we don't talk about but secretly admire. Note this report automatically converts to a RAP when transmitted through station communications. This feature cannot be disabled. We've stopped trying.